Here I'm going to use NX to demonstrate G3. I have the license in NX that allows me to impose G3 naturally without having to just simply fight those curves. Now, something to note is for every level of continuity that you go up, it gets much more difficult to get a good looking transition between these curves. As you can see, this is just a simple G0 continuity from this curve all the way over to this curve. If I look at this curve, again, it's just touching point to point and it's going straight across. There's no real continuity or curvature there. So real easy to impose. Because of the feature that I'm using, a bridge curve, it's easy to go in there and impose a tangency. It's easy to do the same thing on this side. You can see that it is now tangent. I have a little bit of work to make this curve look good, but it's not going to be terribly difficult. It's a little bit of work. If I increase this to G2, you'll see that I'll have more work. Let me right mouse click over here, go to G2. I'll eventually have more work in order to get this to look good. I have to clean these side curves up. I may have to change the tensions and such. Once I go up to G3, you'll see I have a lot more acceleration here, and I'll do the same thing at this end. A little bit more acceleration down here, but to get this to look good, it's going to be a lot more work because there's a lot more control points. There's a lot more going on with this curve. So if I come in here and I modify this tension, you'll notice that I can make slight little changes to the shape of that curve. And obviously these tensions aren't going to be the cure-all for all of this. It made it look a little bit better. What I need to do is I need to come in here and make modifications to these adjoining curves. So if I take a look at this, I just drag this down a little bit. Maybe I drag it up, adjust the shape slightly. You'll see here I've gotten closer to a good curve. Now I have to do the same thing to this other end. The amount of work that it would take to do this with, say, just a pure tangent curve isn't going to be as difficult. It's this G3 stuff that everybody's interested in, which is only applicable to big shiny surfaces on the exterior of a vehicle. You don't necessarily have to impose G3 on everything. In fact, you don't want to, because it'd take you forever to model anything. So I'm just gonna tweak this a bit and get it to go good. So you can see now I have a nice transition between all of those curves. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to this bridge curve, and I can start modifying this bridge a little bit with these tensions. And what's happening with these tensions is, let me go ahead and show you the actual control points. Pick those curves. I'm going to show poles. And as you can see, those control points start doing some pretty crazy things with the shape. So when I have modified the tension, what's happening is that shape is being controlled. You're modifying the actual control points. You can see what's going on with those control points. And you want to make sure that what you are doing doesn't create some crazy looking control points or wild points. There we go. And now I would just go back and forth, maybe tweak this a little bit more to get a better looking transition going across. And again, just because it's G3 doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. G3 is, again, great for big shiny surfaces, hood surfaces, your roof bows, deck lids, wheel arches, places like that are going to be highly visible. You're easy to detect any errors on the surface, and that's where the G3 is important. And that's kind of the reason why exterior body panels are so difficult to make and make look good, is because you're imposing G3 across anything and everything. Once you get into smaller fillets and things of that nature, you can go down to G2, and once they get the actual blends get tiny, like sub 3 mils, you may even just use, like when you get into the hems around the edges, the pipes, you may even be able to use just simple tangency because they're so small you won't see them. But that's the magical art of exterior body panels, is being able to create your surfaces with G3 and make everything look good. And again, that's an incredible amount of work. Just plain old tangent, relatively simple. G2, a little bit more complex. G3, a lot more complex. So When you get into those exterior body panels, you're going to have to focus more on how everything flows from start all the way to the very end. It's not just so much a local thing. It's not so much a local shape change. It's more of a general overall shape change to make things look absolutely perfect.